Welcome everyone to the Gentleman's Hour, and we have a very special guest, Mr. Connor Hill.
Thank you, Mr. Sewell.
It's great to talk to you because it's like I feel like you were one of the few men that I've actually gotten to have some really like great conversations over the years about like different things being a man, and where it's just like, oh, someone else that actually gets it and that is like different, and that doesn't really like we're presented with so much stuff about what a man should be and shouldn't be, and but yeah, I've been really grateful for so many of the conversations that we've gotten to have about sex, relationship, bodies, just so much different stuff. And it's like so we I was listening a little bit to like the Gentleman's Club book today, which is something that this basically is based on, and so I know that you're an avid fan and you've listened many times, and it's like what are some of the like ways in which that book has like changed your life, and like what are some of the takeaways that you've got from the Gentleman's Club?
I would probably say everything. Oh man. It's like probably the biggest has really been the acknowledgement of just how different men are from women. Like, I didn't get it. At all. Let's just say at all. Like their innate realities are, I mean, people say, there's that book, like women are from Venus and men are from Mars, but it's even more than that.
It's more than completely different planets on the opposite side of the universe.
Yeah. And like my life has just gotten so much easier, just that acknowledgement alone. And I'm holding an avocado for no reason at all. And
did you say wife or life?
Yeah.
Yes. Did you say wife or life?
Wife or life? Yeah.
Yeah.
Life.
Like my wife has gotten so much easier. No, my life has gotten so much easier.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just like, I'm like thinking about it now because I still almost, I'm wondering as we're talking about this, just how different we are that I still haven't acknowledged yet.
Yeah.
And I'm also wondering, is the rain in the background too loud?
No, I mean, it's fine. Okay. We can hear it. It's nice. Yeah.
Okay. I like that about you. Like, oh, it's nice. Other people like, turn off your background noise.
It doesn't sound bad to me, but so yeah, like I think as well, that's also one of the things that I got from that, because like I think a lot of what we tend to do in relationship is like just expect that the other person functions the same way that we do without ever really like recognizing how different we are and what the other person's point of view is, and that it also creates a completely different reality. And so it's like when you're functioning from, but aren't we going like in this direction? And it's like you got two people going in completely different directions. It's like, it's actually huge, just that in itself to acknowledge.
Yeah. I mean, I love that you're saying that, because I recently, like, I played sports my whole life. So every time Gary, the founder of Access, would talk about like a team is blah, 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 and he would just like tear team apart and the idea of a team apart, I was like, I played a lot of sports. So I was like, man, but teams, we got a thing. And I looked up the definition of team, and the original definition of team is like from before sports even existed. It was just a team of horses. Like, so if you had two horses or two cows pulling a plow, that was a team.
Huh.
But just like you said, it's like in its certified facilitators today, Gary talked like everybody's always trying to get their teams to work together and their people to work together. But the more you do access, the less you want to do what other people are doing and you want to do your own thing. It's like, and you're like, and then but it's like putting, like, if you imagine a carriage and a team of horses, but instead of all the horses being tied up and they're all going the same direction, it's like you had 10 horses and they all just ran off in different directions with the same carriage. It would just like blow the whole carriage apart. But yeah, like you're saying, if you have two people in relationship, it's like it would be, I mean, it's like people will go into judgment, but I'm like, it would be like, I want to say like a horse and a cat. They're like, oh, one person's doing all the pulling, the other one's not. you know, like two totally different animals put up on a plow, and then asking them both to like work together.
Yeah. And I mean, we were also talking to Paul yesterday about, a few things, and one of them that we were having this discussion about is like when like the difference where being like a man and like functioning from that point of view, it's like it also can be really different to what we're told it is. And so many men have also cut off so many parts and pieces of themselves that they would be, because of like relationships, or what you become when you choose to like create from that place of trying to make yourself the same and not actually be the difference that you are. So
Yeah.
like for you, like what are some of those things that like if you look at like creation and the way that you are now with like yourself but other people, like what is it for you to be a gentleman, and like what's the different aspects of that that are interesting to you and that you'd like to explore more of?
Well, it's like, well, like, I mean, I really like the idea of like the definition of the word gentleman. Um, it's like, and I know, like, I'm not trying to reverse Dane's book, The Return of the Gentleman, where he wants to undefine gentleman, but I like that definition, not definition, but the sort of, I guess you could say, idea of gentleman from, as you know, I'm a conscious horse, conscious rider facilitator. And the greatest thing I've learned from conscious horse, conscious rider, those classes and that class and horses and all of it together is the is the subtlety of life and the subtlety with which things can change. Like like you really, in then what I've learned with horses is to you if you really want to create the greatest outcome with your horse, um, everything can be subtle. Like you don't need to do abrupt, like big changes and like make things intense or anything like that. And when you are gentle and subtle, though you might not get the results you want right now, you're creating a future in which you have the greatest ease of gaining results.
Mm. Yeah, wow, I love that. And that really speaks to as well, like I guess the way that probably a lot of men also function in that, like I remember Gary saying that the power of a man is to say yes, say yes, say yes, say yes, and then say no. And it's like, but that place of also being willing to, like, I guess in a way lead, but sometimes it's from those subtle choices that don't necessarily get noticed or might not like might not look like you even have an awareness of the future that you're creating, but it's those subtle changes that create something else occurring in the future that, can be far greater for you and the other people in your life as well.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I like something like I kept trying to like so there for me like one of the biggest things I've gotten, and this is like the key to where how different the realities are. Like one of the biggest keys, at least that I've seen so far, there might be some more, um, is like I kept trying to make my point of view like valuable and relevant. And but like when dealing with women, like it feels like they're making their point of view valuable and relevant, but they don't. Like, because they just need to talk about stuff, and they just talk about stuff. Like 90% of the time, I'm much better at it now. But it used to be 100% of the time. 90% of the time, when a girl is talking to me, I'm like, I think I need to do something about it.
Yeah.
I'm like, so, and like because of the Gentleman's Club book, I got better at being like, so do you want me to do anything with this? And they'd go, no, I just want you to listen. Oh, okay. That's all you want? Got it. Like, I'll just sit here and I'll just nod. Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
Yeah, I think I'm still guilty of that one. I'm like, oh, okay, so there's something here to be fixed, and I've got to fix it. So, let
Yeah.
me fix it. And you're like, no, I don't want to fix it. I just want to, I just
Talk
want to
about
talk about it, or
it.
you know,
Yeah. And yeah, and it's like there's a video on the internet of like this girl that's like, I've got a headache and I've got this going on and I've got this going on. And the guy is like, and she's like, don't even say it. It's not about the nail. He's like,
yeah,
it has to do with the nail that's in your head. But like, it's so, I like this thing. It's like, the a part of the thing that I think I have discovered, I'm not really sure, and it's mostly what I'm playing with, is to just sit there and be like, I mean, it looks like you have a nail in your head, but I'm just not going to say anything, and just you just talk. That's cool. I'll just listen. Like I have a girlfriend now. I didn't for a long time, and she was talking to me recently, and then she said a whole bunch of stuff, and then she stopped talking. And then I was like, was I supposed to respond to that? And she goes, yeah. I'm like, what was I supposed to say? And she goes, you're supposed to go, oh, wow, cool. And then I was like, oh, yeah, oh, wow, cool. And then she went, oh, good. And then she just kept talking. Like, I loved that she was willing to just tell me exactly what she wanted me to say. I just said it. And then she just could keep going on with what she required. Like, I'm like, I felt like I'm supposed to do something, but no, she just wants me to say those things. And that was something I used to resist, but it's like and like you said, with the men being like yes, 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 no, it's like I've also discovered I can be with that. And then if she starts talking about something that I'm like, this is just hurts for me to try and pay attention to, I just go, yeah, go find a gay friend or one of your girlfriends, and that's the conversation you can have with them. No, but you're supposed to have the conversation with me. I'm like, not happening. If that's what you want, go find a new boyfriend because it ain't happening here.
uh, well, I think something that you said as well that's really interesting is like, that place of like the value of a man is, is about, how you can fix something. But it's like, I think then if you look at it, if you don't have value because there are no problems to fix, for example, it's like, well, then how do you create yourself as a man? And how many men have just been literally creating their reality as like, the fix it men. And then if there's no problem to be fixed, then it's like, well, who are you and how do you fit, and all of that stuff. So, and you know, one of the things that we know with access is that like your point of view creates your reality. So if your point of view is that you're a fix-it man, you're always going to have, you know, problems to fix.
Yeah.
So I think that's also something like actually huge for men to like step into as well, is that place of, yes, like undefining who you've decided that, you know, you are or you have to be as a man. And then, you know, that can get really uncomfortable. Like if you've spent your whole life, you know, your mum has taught you to, you know, be, you know, do this for me, be a good boy and do this for me. And then, you know, you went out into the world and, I don't know, became a tradesperson or something, and you know, you're building stuff and you're fixing stuff all the time, and then you get into a relationship and it's all about, you know, fixing stuff, and it's like,
Yeah.
if that all goes away, you know, who the hell are you, and like what
And
is creative?
yeah, and the worst part about learning a relationship from your mom is that you don't even get to have sex with her. I mean, you don't really want to. I mean, but you know, like, and then you get older and you're like, okay, how do I do
I could make all
with my
sorts of
mom
jokes
and have
no
sex with
doubt
her?
right now.
Because I want to have sex with her.
Yeah.
Although the relationship I had with my mom was, if I was masturbating, I had to like hide it from her and not let her know I was doing it because it was bad.
Yeah. This maybe we should call this Kansas conversations.
Yeah, Kansas conversations. Yes, exactly. It was like, because when I was in high school, I was like old for my grade because I got held back when I was younger because I didn't know my ABCs. I didn't know my alphabet, and I was 18, and my mom like threw away a magazine because I was like, "Where's that magazine?" She's like, "Oh, I threw it out." I was like, "Why?" She's like, "Because it had girls on it," and I was like, It's not even it. They weren't even naked, and even if they were, in this country, I'm old enough to buy one of those. Like, and then I learned later on in Australia, you can get a nudie magazine at like 16, but you could probably even get one at like 10. And it was like when I moved to Australia, you're like, men were walking around on the beach and there were like naked women next to them and they didn't even pay attention. I was like, that's like one of the ugliest people I've ever seen, but I can't stop looking because the boobs are out in the world. And I'm like, I'm an American guy and I was raised to not look at boobs. And now I have to look at boobs when they're exposed. Oh my God.
Yeah. And it's like, that's like, I think every like teenage boy is like, they're like, I really want to look, but I know I shouldn't look. And you end up just looking like a weirdo where you just kind of
like girls are like, what's wrong with you? You're like, boobs, boobs, boobs.
Some form of like Tourette's and epilepsy like combined together.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, so true. Yeah, and actually, I love how you talked about. There were some things you were saying a minute ago before we got off on a different tangent about like, what if things weren't a problem? Like I'm looking at that video of the girl that has the nail in her head, and it's like the guy is like, "There's a problem because you have a nail in your head," and like, let's fix it. Now, most people would agree that a nail in your head is kind of a problem, but in this, I'm realizing so much. Like today, where I'm at in Mexico, the new Airbnb I'm at, like there are aspects that I like, and then there's a lot that I don't. And then like I've even been looking around, like I'm like, what's the problem? I've been looking for the problem. So I'm so grateful for this conversation because I'm like, oh, the problem is I'm not making enough money, because if I had enough money, I'd be at a better place. But then I was like, okay, if I had, you know, the budget, quote unquote, to put on a much more expensive place, where would I stay? And I went looking at all the hotels and all the Airbnbs. And I'm like, I wouldn't stay at any of those. I'm like, they all suck. So I'm like, I love that you're bringing this up, because like, I'm like in the book, what I've gotten is that Gary talks about like men, what we tend to do is we really like to come to conclusion. We're like, this is the thing, and now we go, we're you know, for thousands of years we were hunters. We're like, we're gonna go hunt that. The problem is there is no food. Now we shall go get it. Let's hunt it. While the girls like stayed at home and they like chatted with each other and like took care of babies and like took care of like 20 fucking things all at once. And, and we're out like, let's go hunt together. Yeah. I just make these things up in my head, but I'm like looking at just that aspect of like women don't really do that. They've got like all these problems or things that they, you know, as you say it, they're not really making them a problem. They're just like there are all these things that they don't necessarily enjoy or that could be better or that they're aware could be better. And for them, they just talk about them, and then after 30 minutes to an hour, they're like, moving on. And then it's like, and then you're like, well, don't we need to go fix it right now? Like, because I'm like looking at my house every time I go to my house, I will find the smallest thing to be a problem. Like there's a speck on the ceiling, and I'm like, that needs to get painted, but I need a ladder, and I need this, and I need this, and then I like stop myself from creating my life because I'm thinking about the fucking dot on the ceiling, rather than just going, okay, what's it gonna do? Like, what else is possible here, and just like moving forward. But also going to the fact that any of that's a problem, but just looking at like what we can create.
Totally. And, with that thing of like you looking at, what's going on in your house, I also recognize the difference in the way that, like, for example, my partner Tiffany will look at like our house and she'll go, oh, like this needs to be over here and that needs to be over there. And like, I'll look at different aspects and I'm like, oh, I need to change this. This doesn't work. Or, but it's also again that place of looking at where you see things differently, and that if you don't, I guess as well, have to be, if you don't have to take a fixed point of view, or like you were saying, come to a conclusion about it, like you can actually get the benefit of both people's like awareness, both people's point of view, and it can actually create something greater if you allow it. And sometimes you need to be like, no, I'm having it my way, damn it, even if it doesn't,
Yeah. And it's like, because we're not pulling a carriage.
Yeah.
we don't need to fucking pull this carriage in the same direction. Yeah. And actually, like that's one of the things. And then another huge thing, and this is why I look at this book and I'm like, God, I want to read it again and see what else I can discover, is there's a line in that book. I don't remember exactly where it is, but you can find it by searching the word is she the right girl for me? Now I'm saying this because I've said this to other men. So like any men out there watching this, or any girls that kind of function like men, like what we like to do, and this is how you know if you function like a man, is you go, oh, you meet a girl and you're like, oh, she's great. I like her. And you're like, I'm comfortable with her. And then she freaks out. Well, she's freaking, you want to kind of come to question and ask here, like, is she kind of freaking out because I'm coming to the conclusion of I like her and she's great and now I'm comfortable? Because like our realities are so different. If you're someone that functions from, depending on, whether you're actually like, if you're carrying a penis or a vagina, like your realities can be one of these where when like we talked about before, when you're the person that sits there and talks about their problems, quote unquote, just to have ease with them, and you like, if you're one of those, if you get in relationship with a person that doesn't do that, they're somebody that needs to like go watch television or read a book or just like think about what they have going on and be by themselves for like an hour. Like those are your two different people. It's like one of them tends to go, oh, I'm comfortable in the relationship now. Whereas the other one, the moment, so let's go back to man and woman here. But like the moment me as a guy, I go, oh, I like her, she's great. In her world, something's wrong. That's something wrong for her. And so she'll freak out. So in order to not go to that, this is like for you guys out there, this is what I've discovered is like, in order for that to not show up, I have to not come to the conclusion of, I like this girl, she's great, blah, 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 whatever you have going. Oh my God, she's perfect. I love her, blah, blah. The moment you say, I love her and she freaks out, this is what's going on. This is how to change it. You go, is she the right girl for me? Now, I know in your heads, all of you out there are probably thinking, what? Huh? And then you're going to try and come to the answer as far as, yes, she's the right girl for me, or no, she's the right girl for me. You try to figure out, like, well, if she's not the right girl for me, do we need to end the relationship? Or she is the right girl for me, so I should probably marry her. No, no.
Get the checklist out.
Yeah, exactly. Well, she's got a great butt. Her vagina smells and tastes great. Her lips taste great, and I mean both pairs. And she's got nice boobies. And I mean, and that's how you know you're a man. You know,
that's
your checklist.
That's the other part. Men doing relationship to get sex, and women doing sex to get relationship.
Yeah, exactly. You know you're a man if that's your checklist. You know you're a woman if your checklist is, does she make money? Does she, have a house? Does she like what are they doing in their life? Man's is all right. She looks good. She's fun. And I can hang out with her. And so I just discovered, and I had to do this, like I said earlier, I have a girlfriend now, and I had to do this so diligently with her. She doesn't even know this, and if she watches this, she'll be like, "What?" But I had to diligently, like, force myself to not come to some sort of a conclusion with her, and just keep asking the question: is she the right girl for me? Without trying to find an answer, just, is she the right girl for me? Is she the right girl for me? And just using that question to get out of the conclusion of she's the right girl for me or she's not the right girl for me. But that's oh man, for those of you out there that have not done Access Consciousness, welcome. Read the book, The Gentleman's Club. But it's like that takes you out of the polar reality, because you've got this polar reality of, like, either she's not the right girl for me or she is the right girl for me. And to get you out of that is just asking the question, is she the right girl for me? And not trying to come to any conclusion, or not thinking you need to come to conclusion in order to make a decision, because that's what we as men like to do. We go, I shall come to a conclusion and now I know what to choose. The conclusion is she is right for me. I shall marry her and we shall have sex forever. Or she is not the right girl for me and I shall go find someone else. And if she wants to have sex still, I will do it until I find someone else. And then she will get mad at me because I had sex with her and I did not marry her. Everything Matt brings up for everybody out in the world, times the guys able to destroy and great at all.
Right, wrong, good and bad, pot and pock, all nine shorts, boys
So,
and beyonds. And that's the clearing statement, and you can find it at theclearingstatement.com.
Yeah. And so that literally, so I'm so glad, I'm thankful you asked me those questions, because I can finally get it off my chest that is, like, to me, I mean, that's probably less than 20% of what that book has to offer, or maybe less than 2% of what that book has to offer. And yet the things that we've talked about for me so far in this show have, like, changed my reality drastically and just made everything possible.
Yeah. And I know, like, Gary Douglas, who wrote The Gentleman's Club and also is, like, the founder of Access Consciousness, like, one of the things I remember him saying about, like, if you're looking to get into a relationship, is be, like, bluntly honest with yourself about what you would expect from another in relationship, because then you'll actually allow yourself to see whether, like, that person is able to even deliver that in the first place, let alone will they. Because it's like, you've also got to have this place where you kind of, like, get to know you a little bit, and a little bit about, like, what is it that you actually desire in a situation like this. And is she the right one for me? It's like, can she actually deliver any of this that I desire or require? Or
Yeah.
So that was a really different way of looking at things that I'd ever looked at. I was always just like, oh, you just sort of do it and then find out, you know?
Yeah, that's how I was too.
Yeah, but you know,
Like, I
apparently
was
you
like, I
can,
have choice.
yeah, yeah, and yeah, apparently you can be aware of the future as well by asking a few questions. Who would have thought?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Cool.
Oh, and
Well,
as you say that, like, I guess that makes me realize another really big difference in men and women. And this is how you know probably if you're functioning like a man or functioning like a woman is women. And I've actually recognized, I've seen a lot of men that are like this. The women trait is to, I will take a man and turn him into the man that will be perfect for me. Like, and then there are men that'll do that too. Like, I will make sure she gives me as many blowjobs per day as I would like to have. It's like, why don't you go find somebody that's already like that?
yeah, and you know, yeah, I like it. They're probably the ones with you know, many boyfriends.
Exactly. And you're like, no, I want to be the only boyfriend. I actually lived for a little bit in a mountain town in Colorado, a ski town, where where the ratio of men to women is like there's like 10 men for every woman. And the way it was so funny because in this town, all the men acted like women and the women acted like what the stereotype of men is. Like the women were going around sleeping with every guy, and like the men were going, I can't believe she had sex with that guy. And like they would like date one guy and have sex with whoever they wanted on the side. And the guy that was dating was like, I think she keeps running around having sex with all those other guys, and she's my girlfriend. But the girls were just like, yeah, they were just like having so much fun. I was like, man, this is just a different reality up here.
Oh, that's great.
Yeah.
So, well, I mean, one thing that we should probably let you guys know about is we are actually launching soon a free gentlemen's club book club, and it's going to be Connor Hill, another friend of ours, Paul Kearney, and myself, and also we will probably have some guests along the way as well. So yeah, it's up on the Access site. You can find it on Connor's profile, and it's free.
It
So
does not show up on yours too.
it probably will as well. Yes. So
Okay.
my profile, Connor's or Paul's. But yeah, you can find it on the Access Consciousness website, and it's called the Gentleman's Club. And yeah,
Yeah.
so yeah, if you would like to have more of this, come and play. And thank you so much, my friend, for being here, for waking up early in Mexico, and
Oh,
yeah,
thank you. This has been awesome. I've discovered so much already just from our conversation here.
cool. And I think you know, I would say get the book as well. If you haven't read that book or listened to it, you know, you can find it on Audible. You can buy it at the Access shop or on Amazon, I'm pretty sure as well. So
Yeah,
yeah,
you can find it, and it's in multiple languages. I know it's in, I can't remember which ones. It's in Portuguese. I know that, and then it might be in a couple other languages as well. So
yes. So yeah, that's it from us. Thank you so much, and I'll see you again soon for another Gentleman's Hour.
yeah.